If I could go back, I wouldn't change my job or my money or the house I lived in. I would answer one phone call. One, because at 93, the worst pain isn't what you lost, it's what you ignored when it mattered most. And I ignored my father for the last time. I'm 93 now, and there are nights when I still hear it. A phone ringing, not in the room, in my chest. It's strange how age works. Your body becomes slow, your bones become loud, your memory becomes unreliable, but regret stays sharp. Regret doesn't get old. It stays young, it stays fresh, it stays ready, like a wound that refuses to close. People ask me, what's the secret to a long life? They expect me to say, eat well, exercise, stay positive. But the truth is, bloody, a long life is not a gift, not always. Sometimes it's a sentence, because the longer you live, the more time you have to remember what you did wrong. And if you're lucky, you regret small things. But I didn't. I regret one moment, one decision that lasted less than a second. I grew up with a father who didn't know softness. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't evil. He was just hard. Hard like the times, hard like survival, hard like a man who believed love was shown through work, not words. He never said, I'm proud of you. Not once. He didn't hug. He didn't comfort. He didn't explain. He gave orders. He gave rules. He gave silence. And as a boy, I hated him for it. I didn't understand that some men don't know how to love until it's too late. My father believed a son had to become strong, and strength meant discipline. It meant obedience. It meant not complaining. But I was stubborn. I was fire. I wanted freedom. I wanted my own life. And every time he tried to shape me, I pushed back. Hard. We argued about everything. The way I dressed, the friends I kept, the dreams I had. He wanted me to be practical. I wanted to be alive. And one night, we had the kind of argument that changes a family. Not loud, not dramatic, but final. I said something that still burns my tongue, even 70 years later. I said, I don't need you. I said it like a weapon, because young men think independence is power. I remember the way his face changed, not anger, not shouting, just a quiet collapse, like something inside him folded. He looked at me for a long time. Then he said, in the calmest voice, fine, and he walked away. That was my father. He didn't beg. He didn't chase. He didn't plead. He just withdrew, and I mistook that for weakness. I didn't realize it was pride and pain. I left home soon after. I didn't look back. I told myself I was right. I told myself he deserved it. I told myself I would build a life so big I'd never have to return. And I did build it. I worked. I climbed. I became the man the world respects. But I never became the son my father needed. Years passed. I visited sometimes. Holidays, birthdays, the kind of visits that look good on paper, but don't heal anything. My father and I, we became polite strangers. He'd ask about work. I'd answer. He'd nod. I'd nod. And the space between us stayed untouched, like a room nobody entered. My mother tried. She always tried. She'd whisper, "He worries about you. He doesn't show it." But I didn't want to hear that, because if my father worried, then he cared. And if he cared, then maybe he wasn't the villain, and that would mean I had hurt someone who loved me. Young pride is a dangerous thing. It turns pain into identity. It convinces you that forgiving is surrender. So I kept my distance. I kept my pride. I kept my anger, like it was protecting me. But anger doesn't protect you. It isolates you. It keeps you warm for a moment, and then it leaves you cold. One winter, I came home for a short visit, snow on the roads, cold in the air. I walked into the house, and my father was sitting in his chair, reading the newspaper. He looked smaller than I remembered. Not weak, just older. His hands had more lines. His hair had less color. For a second, I felt something unfamiliar, not anger, not resentment, something softer, something like fear, because I realized he was not permanent. Fathers feel eternal when you're young. You think they'll always be there, always waiting, always unchanging. But age changes everyone, even the men who think they're made of palmative stone. My father looked up, our eyes met. He didn't smile, but he didn't look away either. He nodded, I nodded back, and that was all. Two men, both too proud to cross a few feet of emotional distance. At dinner, my mother talked too much, filling the silence, trying to keep the air from cracking. My father ate quietly. Then he stood up and went outside. I followed. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to try. Maybe I wanted to say something real. He was standing on the porch, looking at the snow, hands in his coat, breathing slow. And for a moment, I almost said it. I almost said, "I'm sorry." I almost said, "I miss you." But the words got stuck because I didn't know how to be a son. I only knew how to be a man. And men in my world didn't apologize. My father spoke first. He said, "You work too much." I laughed. I said, "That's how you raised me." He didn't laugh. He said, "I raised you to survive, not to disappear." That line could have changed everything, but I didn't let it. I shrugged. I said, "I'm fine." And he looked at me like he wanted to say more. Then he swallowed it and turned away. That was our pattern. A chance, and then silence. A bridge, and then pride. And the tragedy is, we both thought we had time. The last argument happened over something stupid. It always is. It's never the big thing. It's the small thing that carries years of bitterness. My father wanted me to come home more. I said I was busy. He said family matters. I said I have responsibilities. He said, "Responsibilities to who?" I snapped. I told him he didn't understand the modern world. I told him he was controlling. I told him he always wanted things his way. And then I said it again, the same poison. "I don't need you." He went quiet, so quiet I could hear my own breathing. Then he said, "You're right." And that hurt more than if he had yelled, because yelling means fight. Yelling means care. This was resignation. I left, And for months, I didn't call. He didn't call either. Then one evening, I came home late. Rain on my coat. Tired. Annoyed at everything. I threw my keys on the table. And I saw the phone. It was ringing. A landline. Back then, landlines rang like they had urgency. Like they were trying to warn you. I looked at it. The caller was my parents' number. I stared. My chest tightened. And in that moment, I had a choice, a simple choice. Pick up or don't. And the truth is, I wanted to pick up. I wanted to hear his voice. I wanted to fix it. But pride is a strange sickness. It convinces you that love is weakness. It convinces you that the person who reaches out first loses. So I stood there and I watched it ring once, twice, 3 times, and I didn't answer. It stopped. The silence returned, and I told myself, I'll call tomorrow. Tomorrow. That word, the same word that ruins so many lives. Tomorrow. I went to bed, and I slept, and that's what haunts me. Not just that I didn't answer, but that I slept peacefully as if nothing important had happened. The next morning, the phone rang again. This time it was my mother. Her voice was shaking. She said, "He's gone." For a second, I didn't understand. I said, "Gone where?" She didn't answer right away. Then she whispered, "He had a heart attack. He tried to call you. He tried to reach you." I felt my stomach drop, like the world had opened underneath me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't speak. I held the phone, and I heard my mother crying, and all I could think was, he called me, he called me, he called me, and I didn't answer. I didn't even let him speak. I didn't even let him be heard. I drove there like a madman, hands shaking on the wheel, rain hitting the windshield like bullets. I arrived, and the house was full of people. People who loved him, people who had words, people who had memories. And I walked in and saw my father lying still. And for the first time, he looked peaceful. And I hated that peace because it meant the fight was over. And I had lost without ever trying to win him back. At the funeral, men said he was strong. They said he was honorable. They said he worked hard. They said he was a good father. And I stood there, listening, thinking, if he was a good father, why did I never feel loved? And then I realized, maybe I did feel loved. Maybe I just didn't recognize it because he loved me in the only language he knew. Sacrifice, discipline, provision. He didn't give me softness because no one gave him softness. He didn't give me praise because he was taught praise makes men weak. He didn't hug me because his father didn't hug him. And suddenly, my anger felt childish, like I had been blaming a man for not knowing how to be someone he was never taught to be. After the funeral, I stayed behind. The house was quiet. My mother moved slowly, like she was carrying a weight inside her bones. She handed me a small box. She said, "He wanted you to have this." Inside was a wristwatch, old, worn, the leather cracked, the glass scratched. I remembered it. I had seen it on his wrist my entire childhood. It was the one thing he never replaced. even when he had money. It was his father's, passed down, and now it was mine. There was also a folded piece of paper, a note, his handwriting. I opened it, and my throat tightened. It wasn't long, just a few lines. I don't know how to say things. I'm proud of you. I wanted you to be better than me. I'm sorry. I stared at the word sorry. My father, apologizing, and I felt something break in me because I realized he had been trying, in his own way, he had been trying to cross the distance, and his last attempt was that phone call, and I let it ring. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch the wall. I wanted to rewind time, but time doesn't rewind. It only leaves scars. That night, I found an old answering machine in a drawer. My mother said, "There's a message." I didn't want to hear it. I was afraid, but I pressed play anyway. And then his voice filled the room. It sounded older than I remembered, tired but calm. He said, "It's me. I don't know if you'll answer. I just wanted to say," a pause, a long pause, "I'm proud of you. I didn't say it enough. I didn't say it at all." Another pause, and then softer, "I love you, son." And the message ended. I sat there, holding my breath, like if I exhaled, the world would collapse. That was the first time I ever heard him say it, and it was also the last. That is what regret is. Hearing the words you needed when they can no longer change anything. For years, I carried that voicemail like a curse. I didn't play it often, but I knew it was there, like a ghost in my pocket. Sometimes I'd be driving, and suddenly I'd remember the phone ringing, and my hands would tighten on the wheel. Sometimes I'd be laughing with friends, and the laughter would turn bitter, because I thought my father never got to hear me laugh as a man. Sometimes I'd see an old man walking with his son, and I'd feel jealous, not of their relationship, but of their time, because time is the only thing you can't earn back. I tried to fix it. I tried to be a better father. I told myself, I will not repeat this. I will not be cold. I will not be proud. I will not be distant. But pain has a strange way of repeating itself. If you don't heal it, you hand it down like inheritance. There were moments when my children wanted to talk, and I didn't know how. There were moments when I felt anger rising, and I heard my father in my voice, and it scared me because I realized I had become him in the ways I hated most. So I made a decision, a real decision. I started saying the words, even when they felt awkward. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm sorry. At first, it felt unnatural, like wearing someone else's coat. But over time, it became freedom, because love spoken out loud is a kind of healing. And I began to understand my father, not excuse him, understand him. He was not trying to hurt me. He was trying to prepare me. He was trying to make me strong. But he didn't realize that love is also strength, that softness is also strength, that saying, I'm proud of you, doesn't weaken a son. It saves him. If my father had said it earlier, maybe I wouldn't have needed to fight him so much. Maybe I wouldn't have built my identity on rebellion. Maybe I wouldn't have treated him like an enemy. When you're young, you think your parents are obstacles, but one day you wake up and you realize they were just people trying, failing, loving you the only way they knew how. And by the time you understand that, they're gone. That's why this story matters. Not because it's sad, but because it's common. There are millions of sons out there right now who are letting the phone ring because they're angry, because they're busy, because they're proud, because they think there will be another call, but there might not be. And I don't want you to learn that lesson the way I did, with a funeral and a voicemail and a lifetime of what if. If you're listening and your father is still alive, let me tell you something uncomfortable. He is not going to be here forever, even if he seems strong, even if he seems stubborn, even if he seems impossible to love. Time will take him anyway. And one day you will crave one more conversation, one more argument, one more ordinary moment, because ordinary moments become holy when they're gone. I used to think forgiveness was for him, that if I forgave, I would be letting him win. I didn't understand. Forgiveness is for you. It frees you from the prison of pride. It gives you your life back. It gives you your peace back. I can't call my father now. I can't fix the ringing phone. I can't go back to that night and answer. But you still can. You can pick up. You can say, hey. You can say, I'm busy, but I wanted to hear your voice. You can say, Gus, I love you. Even if it feels strange, even if it feels too late, say it anyway, because one day it will be too late, and you will wish you had been brave enough to love first. I keep my father's watch now. I wear it sometimes, not because it's valuable. It isn't, but because it reminds me. Time is borrowed, not owned. Every day you have with someone is borrowed time, and borrowed time should be spent like it matters, not like it's guaranteed. There's a moment I want to tell you about years after my father died. I became old, and my son became a man. One day he called me, not for money, not for advice, just to talk. And I felt tears rise because I realized this is what I stole from my father, this simple call, this ordinary connection. And when my son said, love you, Dad, I said it back immediately. No hesitation, no pride, because I knew what it costs to wait, and I knew how rare it is to get another chance. That's the difference between youth and age. Youth believes in endless chances. Age knows some chances only knock once. I'm 93 now, and I still dream about that phone. Sometimes in the dream, I answer. I hear his voice, and it's warm, and everything becomes simple. Sometimes in the dream, I let it ring again, and I wake up sweating like my soul is still trying to fix the past. But the past can't be fixed, only honored, only learned from. So here is my final lesson, the one I wish someone had screamed into my face when I was young. Don't let pride make you an orphan. Don't let work make you a stranger. Don't let anger steal decades, because anger feels powerful until it becomes lonely. If you have someone in your life, someone you love, someone you avoid, someone you haven't called, call them, not because they deserve it, not because you agree with them, but because life is short and death is impatient. And one day you will be sitting in a quiet house, old, tired, and you will realize you would trade everything you own for one more ring, one more chance to answer. If you're a son watching this and your father is still alive, this is your sign. Call him, even if it's awkward, even if it's messy, even if it's not perfect. Because perfect doesn't matter. Presence does. And if you're a father watching this, say the words, say them while you can. I'm proud of you. I love you. I'm sorry. Your children won't remember your pride. They'll remember your absence. I didn't understand my father until he was gone. Don't make the same mistake, because regret is expensive. It charges interest for the rest of your life. Comment below if you could go back. What would you say to the person you miss the most? And if you want more stories like this, subscribe. This is Borrowed Time Stories, wisdom from the edge of the time.